Hey there, modern math teacher. April Fools, the joke is on me. I literally recorded this podcast for us already. And when I went in to do the editing, there was no sound, guys. All right. Well, April Fools on me. Hopefully, you have a much better April Fools day. I know originally I said that Michigan is playing April Fools on us. It says it's spring, but it's really second winter. And I don't know. It is what it is. I'm on spring break recording this for you guys, and I'm excited to dive in today. So I have a question for you. Have you ever thought about trying something new in your classroom, but you were really kind of just worried about the timing, when to fit it in, when your students were going to be okay to accept it? Well, I've got news for you. Spring is the perfect time to shake things up, okay? Your students are comfortable, your routines are established, and there's still time to make an impact before the year ends. Plus, testing is done. So, what better way and better time to get something new and novel in than right after testing? So, if you've been curious about project based learning, but you weren't sure when to start, this, my friends, is your chance. Hey, you guys, as I said, I'm Kristen Moore. I'm your host here on the Modern Math Teacher podcast. And today we're diving into my longtime favorite topic, project based learning. All right, let's start off by talking about why spring is the perfect time for PBL. First up, your students need to change a pace to stay engaged, okay? Students are tired of the same old, and aren't you also, right? Let's try changing the pace up a bit just to keep them engaged and on their toes. So, your students have come to expect certain routines and structures in your classroom, and this is great. And we can capitalize on these established routines and expectations to lay the groundwork for these engaging projects. Now, after all your students have been practicing these thinking skills, these collaboration skills, collaborative problem solving all year long, let's put all of that to good use with real, relevant, and rigorous PBL. Again, you guys, there is less pressure than the start of the school year in the springtime. And so there's more flexibility to experiment. Your students have already gotten to know you, and your classroom is working more or less like a well oiled machine these days. We want to keep it that way and not let disengaged students derail us. So it's time to experiment with projects and PBL. I want you to dip your toes in with a quick end of unit project, one that takes maybe just a day or two, or maybe even like a quick week to implement. Um, to show your students just how exciting mathematics can be when we have real answers to the questions, when am I going to need this? Okay. So once your students have successfully mastered the one or two, maybe even a week long project, you are ready for the big leagues, my friends. You can dive into a longer project, one that's real and relevant and rigorous, of course, but one that can be spread out over the week and throughout several weeks weaved into your unit. You'll be excited to see how just excited your students are. One teacher who used the Save for Success project throughout her unit, which is the exact same way that I do mine, said that her students looked forward to it all throughout the unit. So, as you're teaching your exponential functions, each week you're unlocking a different part or different phase of the project. And so you're working on it one piece at a time. That keeps student engagement high all throughout the project process. Okay. Also, in spring projects, give your students a sense of ownership, right? And it's springtime. And so that's going to help keep them motivated if they feel like they own it and they have autonomy in their learning. Listen, my friends, you guys, your students are tired of being told what to do. And really, like, no one likes being told what to do, right? So let's try giving them a chance to really step up to the plate and own their learning. Projects are going to give your students this creative control, and projects in PBL allow your students to be creative while still staying structured. It is a win win for both of you. So now that we know why spring is the best time to try PBL, let's talk about some quick, low risk ways you can try PBL right now in your classroom this week. First up, start small, like I said. A 1 day to a 2 day, maybe a 1 week project to get you started. My favorite quick win project to try is the stained glass design project. You can facilitate this in 1 to 2 days pretty easily at the end of a unit, or you can spread it throughout the unit. It does cover a variety of graphing standards for linear equations from slope intercept to standard. I've got an extension for point slope form. You can include systems in there, lots of ways you can expand on this, but you can do it as is for that quick win where your students are going to practice graphing those lines, problem solving with real world situations that would use slope intercept or standard form. They're going to graph the lines. I like to turn it into a big, beautiful display, which I'll talk about in another episode here. But really, they graph the lines. They can either color it in and make it pretty as is, or you can have them go over it with Sharpie and turn it into a full window display. And I'll link to an article, a blog post that I wrote that shares exactly how I do that. Okay, so that is a super great quick win, creative for your students, procedural practice for you. You just can't go wrong with that. Okay. Another way that you could get a quick, low risk way to try PBL this week is to focus on real world connections that fit into your existing curriculum. For example, if you are coming into exponential functions, the Going Viral project takes the guesswork out of like when and how exponential functions go in real life by showing students how real math can be with a super fun hands-on glow germ experiment to kick it off. You put glow germ on your hands. It's this powder that glows under a UV light. Your students practice touching different things, high-fiving each other. You really just see how quickly something can spread. The more people are infected, the more things they touch. It's a great intro to exponential functions. Okay. Also, I want you to think about using some inquiry based tasks to introduce the concept first. Okay, so this is kind of fun. Take, for example, the rocket project. You could launch the rockets first. I know, crazy, right? But if you do that, acts as that anchor activity, and anchor activities go way back to the beginning of this podcast with how important those are. So I'll link that episode here in the show notes. But this is going to get your students interested in parabolas and quadratics and helping them figure out like why do they even care about what a vertex is or an axis of symmetry, right? So you can launch the projects, get your students interested, collect some data, and then you can use that data all throughout the unit to go back to every time you learn something new. Super fun, super quick way to try a little bit of PBL right now. Now, I want to give you guys a quick challenge for the month of April. This is not an April Fool's Day joke. This is my challenge for you. I want you to pick one lesson in the next 2 to 3 weeks and tweak it into a mini project. For example, instead of a plain old boring worksheet on linear equations, you could have your students design and analyze different streaming service plans, or they could track, sports stats, something that is going to be a quick win for you and them. And make sure that you guys share it with me. You can either text it to me here, or you can share it in our Facebook group, the Modern Math Teachers Facebook group. Everyone would love to see that. So make sure that you go check that out on Facebook. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this episode. I hope for real this time. Remember, the springtime is the best time to try something new. You get to build on that foundation of relationships and routines that you've already built with your students and allow them to experiment with fun. Allow you to experiment with these fun new teaching strategies. You're going to keep math exciting and engaging for both you and your students. Now, if these projects don't align with what you want, make sure then that you grab the free PBL planning guide that I'm going to link here in the show notes. It's going to help you get started designing your own project today. It is the exact planner that I've used for more than a decade to plan these highly engaging projects that are guaranteed to keep your students interested and engaged, even in the springtime. All right, guys, until next time, keep engaging those students, keep trying new things, keep double checking your work. You never know when you have to redo it. And as always, keep it real.